And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We talked about our WWE NXT Great American Bash Week 1 review. We talked about our AEW Dynamite preview. We compared AEW All In and also WWE SummerSlam. We also checked back on one of the most, a couple of, memorable SummerSlam moments in my lifetime. Obviously, if you guys have one to share in the chat, make sure you hit it up. So without further ado, let's talk about our fifth and final segment. Our Wednesday's weekly, sorry, a lot of alliteration there. Our Wednesday's weekly wrestling news. Oh God, I just love how I just fail on live TV. It's so great. So, guys, in the wrestling news today, CM Punk says that airing his fight back all in at Wembley Stadium last year was kind of ugly. It was kind of ugly for both him, also the people involved in it. Jack Perry, also you saw Samoa Joe in the background. You saw Tony Khan. You saw the guys go at it, and 1,010%. I thought it was stupid. And I remember recently, when I was a fan of, I've always kind of been a fan of AEW, but like when I really honestly started watching it, I remember when the Young Bucks were creating this faction of the Elite. They just wanted to do everything they can to make AEW not about CM Punk anymore. And I think this was 1,010% the reason why they did it. And I just thought it looked bad. It looked bad. And they tried to make it look bad for CM Punk. They tried so damn hard. But I think fans at the same time, they kind of already know what kind of guy Punk is. So in reality, you kind of made AEW look bad. You made the Young Bucks look bad. And like you made this newly found, elite faction kind of look bad. But more or less, you've kind of got people to hate your confidant there, the TNT AEW TNT champion there, Jack Perry. I know as soon as I found out that the reason why CM Punk did leave AEW was because of Jack Perry, and after hearing, I was listening to the Busted Open podcast. And Bubba Ray was talking about how disrespectful Jack Perry was to all the guys in the locker room, basically, young, act like you don't stink. And, that's not cool, man. That's not cool. And I think Tony Khan kind of made the wrong decision there, got rid of the wrong guy. But, CM Punk, ever since he made it back to this guy's a walking human highlight reel. And I'm not just talking about inside the ring. I'm talking about like this guy can carry a show just based on his own like actions. Like it's crazy. Like when you're watching Monday Night Raw, it facilitates around a lot of what CM Punk is doing. 1,010%. And he and himself could be a main event. He and himself could bring somebody over. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just nuts. And I kind of feel like they aired the footage to kind of rub it in CM Punk's face because at the time this happened, back in 2023, I believe September 2023, when he got released, I think. Like you see him coming back, obviously, there's still a lot of baggage between him and what happened with WWE and the pipe bomb. But I feel like they kind of use this as like, kind of like a way to kind of rub it in, you know what I mean? Because they waited so long for it to happen. A lot of wrestling news media and a lot of AEW wrestlers were like, you know what? I don't think this is such a good idea. I don't think this is. And of course, like they weren't able to call him by name, but everybody knew, who CM Punk is. They know what he looked like, and they're like, okay, and they're doing this to kind of. I feel like they're doing this to try to spite CM Punk. There was actually, rumors backstage in AEW that the Young Bucks didn't even want to do it. And why would they? Ever since they became EVPs, I don't want to say they were kind of bidding and doing the dirty work for Tony Khan because they love and respect their boss, which by all means is, that's relative. And also that's legit. You know what I mean? Tony Khan is a very, very good owner. Nowhere like Vince McMahon. He cares about his superstars. He wants his superstars to flourish and stuff like that. And, definitely all power to him. 1,010%. One thing, if you guys leave this podcast, one thing, you guys should know that I 1,010% respect Tony Khan as an owner. And I don't know. I just think that whole revealing it, I think he didn't really have to do it. I honestly thought 1,000. And then you saw Jack Perry come back. and everybody automatically just started hating him, and it was just, maybe they're the reason why I hate Jack Perry. Maybe, maybe that footage was the reason why I was like, you know what? Because I used to love Jungle Boy. Used to love Jungle Boy, but then you have, I don't know. It was just all bad. Just something that probably should have never surfaced. But CM Punk saying that the way the AEW did it and the way they aired the footage, it was just ugly. And 1,010%, it's true. 1,010%, it's 1,010% true that it was ugly. It was terrible. It was I think the key word here is unnecessary. All right, Roxanne Perez calls out Julia and also Stephanie Bakure after week one of the Great American Bash. I love Roxanne Perez more than the other, but you have these two just dynamic superstars, these girls that can absolutely kick your ass. But Roxanne, you gotta admire the way Roxanne Perez is inside the ring. You gotta admire her promo skills, and I love it. I gotta be honest. The way Roxanne Perez goes out there and she's like, you know what? I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, but I can go out there and I can show you why I can kick your ass. I mean, hit some pop rocks. But Julia has been waiting in the wings for NXT. It's been rumored that she's actually had some injuries to deal with before she moves on to her to a full actual WWE NXT um, debut, which is probably the right way to go. And of course, we have the very, very, very impressive international wrestling superstar and Stephanie Bakure. I think Vicor definitely is going to be the one to take the championship off of Roxanne Perez. I don't know. I definitely feel like that's going to be, especially heading toward, once when they debut in the CW, they're going to need a lot of, that international kind of, kind of that star appeal that Stephanie McCure brings to the championship. But Julia is someone as well that should not be taken lightly. She can definitely hold the championship, up to high standards and keep it prestigious. So 1,010%, it's I think Roxanne Perez is kind of tagging the tail on the snake that's going to come back and bite you back. All right, next we have Nic Nemeth in the news saying that he has his sights on taking on AJ Styles for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I don't want to be the one to say that I told you so, but I told you. No, I'm just kidding. But the moment that NXT started this collaboration with WWE, no, it started this collaboration with TNA. I kind of knew something was going to give. You haven't really seen AJ Styles. You've seen him on, dark matches, and he was in Tokyo. Obviously, he was part of New Japan Professional Wrestling, pretty popular out there. But Nic Nemeth wants to beat the best. I still think that Moose is going to kind of come hunting for his rematch clause. But at the same time, you have AJ Styles. When he made it up to WWE, he won some championships. I'm not going to dispute that fact. Had some memorable matches like with John Cena at Royal Rumble of 2016. That was, no, 2017. That was amazing. It was one of the most incredible matches I've ever seen in my life. And now you just kind of see him floating around. And it's just, much like I kind of see with the Good Brothers, the OC and stuff like that. I don't know, you had to do something with these guys creatively. And right now in any title picture in WWE, the World Heavyweight on Raw, and then you have him on SmackDown. I don't know. I just don't see him. I don't see him defeating Cody Rhodes. I don't see him any part of what happens with the Bloodline and The Rock coming back to challenge Cody Rhodes for that championship belt at WrestleMania. And then I also don't see him, feuding with the Judgment Day and Finn Balor, and then Damian Priest. Or if Gunther wins, I don't see him fighting Gunther. Or if Brock Lesnar returns, I don't see him fighting Brock Lesnar. I think the best thing for AJ Styles is to probably wind up on NXT with the OC. You have Meech in there. You have Gallows and Anderson, and who better to fight somebody to fight Nic Nemeth, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, other than one of the greatest TNA superstars of all time, AJ Styles, the phenomenal AJ Styles. AJ Styles had TNA on the map for the longest time. When I stopped watching TNA, I remember names like AJ Styles. So I definitely think in the future they're going to be doing something like that. 1,010%. So, definitely love how AJ Styles is going on. Hopefully, he fights somebody like Nic Nemeth. All right, next in the news, we have Elias voicing his frustrations with WWE before he got released. Obviously, this is 1,010%. Um, I kind of believe I side with Elias here. Elias was one of those superstars that he was good inside the ring. He was big, he was strong, he was fit, he was athletic. He made a match actually worth watching. And as soon as all the young things kind of came in, much like keep reiterating with Keith Lee, Aleister Black, Lars Sullivan, and on the girl side, you saw Ember Moon and people from NXT that get promoted. And to be honest, I don't know. I just feel like at the same time, Elias definitely should have deserved a lot better. Definitely should have, definitely deserved a hell of a lot better, especially with the way everything's going right now. He definitely deserved a shot in WWE. Wasn't really granted it, and there was a point where he was actually turning babyface, 1,010%, and the people loved it. The viewers absolutely loved it, but lo and behold, and obviously under the Vince McMahon regime, didn't really kind of surface and stuff like that. Kind of crazy. All right, next we have WWE Hall of Famers are set to make an appearance at WWE SummerSlam. We have Rick Steiner and Kane. Honestly, what does that say about, maybe Braun Breaker possibly defeating Sami Zayn for the WWE Intercontinental Championship? Not saying anything, not pointing any fingers, or not trying to conspiracy theory alert. But I just feel like it'd be awesome. I feel like it'd be kind of cool at this point. You have your dad inside the crowd, your uncle, Scott Steiner. Both of them are WWE Hall of Famers. I feel like right now, the Intercontinental Championship, you know what you're going to expect from the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. You know what you're going to expect from the WWE Undisputed Championship. You know what you're going to expect from the United States Championship. How about put the championship on a young superstar like Braun Breaker, just to kind of see what happens. If Braun Breaker becomes the champion, I think there's more of an array of different storylines, a different superstar promotions, you know, more than, you have Sammy, and I love Sami Zayn, and I think he's doing fantastic. You know, I feel like at WWE SummerSlam, you saw people like Bayley, Cody Rhodes, and Sami Zayn, finish their story and win the championship. A lot of people say that they are boring champions. They're better chasers than championship holders, which I'm not completely, disagree about that. But I just feel like for the Intercontinental Championship to kind of, go totally sideways, be absolutely crazy, you're gonna have to see something. You're gonna have to see something give here, and especially if they want to make Damian Priest the babyface, they 1,010%. They need to bring a bad guy. They need to bring a real bad guy to fight and to have a championship, kind of like what MJF does in AEW. You have Braun Breaker's going to break people 1,010%. Rapidly running out of time, so let's see if we can spitfire this. CM Punk reveals that he would have never, ever, 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 ever made it to WWE if Vince McMahon was still here. And to be honest, that's, not a surprise. Vince McMahon, not really much to say there, but I kind of saw that coming. So Mercedes Moné claims the credit for this photo of Shane McMahon and Tony Khan that's got the wrestling industry, that every single news media absolutely buzzing. People are saying, what's Shane McMahon doing there? Is Shane McMahon coming to AEW Dynamite? Is he going to wrestle it all in? What's going to happen with AEW and Shane McMahon? Is WWE hurt? Are they, and all these things have just blown up from a simple gosh darn picture. What is the old saying? A picture is worth 1,000 words. And everybody right now is absolutely buzzing. To be honest, I was thinking about doing a segment blowing up about Shane McMahon possibly doing his thing in AEW. But don't want to jump the trigger too hard. 1,010%, kind of crazy. And lastly, we have Las Vegas securing their bid on WWE WrestleMania with with a little cash. Las Vegas Convention Center, which is holding the autograph signings and the events and stuff like that before WrestleMania, gave WWE a $5 million grant. And also would help with the UFC and the WWE's merger. Still kind of contemplating and stuff like that. Obviously, when you think of Las Vegas, well, at least when I think of Las Vegas, I think of the UFC. I think of the UFC 1,010%. Not really the WWE, but I know how UFC out there, it's big. It's extremely big, especially in Las Vegas. They have the UFC Performance Center and stuff like that. So yeah, honestly, guys, hey, thank you so much for tuning into my show. 1,010%. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you guys are having a great, safe night. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also, remember to leave a positive chat here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. 1,010%. Remember to follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we have a bunch of other podcasts. We have my boy Emran's podcast, soccer podcast, started in just 6 minutes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We also have college football right around the corner with my boy Tommy, the GSMC college football podcast. We also have football right around the corner. The NFL starts tomorrow. The Hall of Fame game. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be dope. It's going to be great to see some NFL football. We have the Chip Shot Football podcast with my boy Manny. We also have the GSMC Football podcast with Kenneth. We have GSMC Basketball podcast with my boy Nelson, the GSMC Baseball podcast with my boy Sam. Also, in terms of all these sports happening right now, and if you're a fantasy sports goer like I am, if you want to know who to draft during the season, if you want to know your stardoms, your situms, your flex, who you should have as your flex, 1,010% pay attention to the GSMC Fantasy Sports podcast with my boy Chris Shepard, 1,010%. We also have sports, media, and entertainment. We have the Andrew Tate podcast. Make sure you stay tuned and make sure you watch that. We also have TJ and Jeremy on sports in terms of, just everything in terms of sports. So make sure you guys check out their podcast, 1,010%. I give you my guarantee, 1,010% or your money back. And I'm just kidding. It's free. The GSMC Sports Network, subscribing to that, it's 1,010% free. So what are you guys waiting for? So, all right, be part of the GSMC Sports Bloodline. All right, so thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. Hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday. Hope you guys have an amazing Thursday. I will see you tomorrow, all geared up for an amazing Thursday. Thursdays, I kind of like to dedicate the episode to stuff other than WWE because I'm always chatting about WWE. So make sure tomorrow we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. Tomorrow we're going to preview TNA Impact Wrestling, also Ring of Honor. Also on Thursday, every single Thursday, we're going to have our Thursday Superstar Spotlight of the Week. Who's it going to be? I don't even know. So make sure you tune into the show. It's going to be dope. So lastly, thank you guys so much. And hey, most importantly, stay beautiful.